Hey, Samantha. Finding some disturbing news, child. Oh, this man getting on my nerves. Yep. Wars and rumors of wars. Now he talking about why are they talking about right here that initial strike, they did it like, oh man, they didn't even do it the right way. We went in disguise like we scared. How do they think they finna go to war with Russia and you had to sneak Venezuela? Let's listen to this mess, man. I ain't gonna be here all night with this. This is crazy.
Breaking tonight, new details on the very first boat strike off the coast of Venezuela last fall that raise further questions over its legality. The New York Times reporting the Pentagon used a secret aircraft painted to look like a civilian plane in its first attack on a boat that the Trump administration said was smuggling drugs, killing 11 people last September, according to officials.
So we had to sneak them.
The aircraft also carried its munitions inside the fuselage,
killing 11 people. We had to sneak attack.
The laws of armed conflict forbid combatants from feigning civilian status to fool adversaries into dropping their guard, then attacking and killing them. That is a war crime called perfidy.
It's a war crime.
Joining us now, Todd Huntley, director of the National Security Law Program at the Georgetown University Law Center and a retired Navy captain. And Rachel Van Landingham, a retired lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Air Force. She is a professor of law at Southwestern Law School, Los Angeles. Both served as active duty judge advocates. Greetings to you both. Because you were active duty judge advocates, that means you know the law. So maybe you can break some of this down for us. Let's read a little more from the reporting
Sneak attack
in the New York Times tonight.
On a boat.
The aircraft swooped in low enough for the people aboard the boat to see it, according to officials who have seen and been briefed on surveillance video from the attack. The boat had turned back toward Venezuela, apparently, after seeing the plane before the first strike. Two survivors of the initial attack later appeared to wave at the aircraft after clambering aboard an overturned piece of the hull before the military killed
all
them
the troops
in a
are coming out.
Strike that also sank the wreckage. It is not clear whether the initial survivors knew that the explosion on their vessel had been caused by a missile attack. MS now has not independently confirmed this reporting yet, but Professor Huntley, the reading of this feels very concerning.
Yes, it is. It's very concerning. Again, one of the fundamental principles in the law of armed conflict is that you cannot use a protected status to gain a military advantage with the intent to kill or wound the enemy. That is one of the earliest things that we are
Make
taught
us seem
as
like
judge
we
advocates
scary.
studying the law of armed conflict, and it's so basic that it's hard to believe that that was missed.
Yeah,
that it was missed. Sneak attack.
Professor Landingham,
it was hard
not
that they had to sneak in there
to kill or wound the enemy. That is one of the earliest things that we are taught as judge advocates when studying the law of armed conflict,
and you
very
think
concerning. Again,
that
one of the
you are ready
fundamental principles in the law of armed conflict is that you cannot use a protected status to gain a military advantage with the intent to kill or wound the enemy. That is one of the earliest things that we are taught as judge advocates when studying the law of armed conflict, and it's so basic that it's hard to believe that that was missed.
Yeah. I tell you, Professor Landingham, it just, in one sense, it's not hard to believe that it was done, though. because we've seen this administration go to extraordinary lengths in the past. And there are two thoughts that cross my mind on this story. The first is there's a reason why the international community is very, very clear, and certainly our laws are very, very clear about committing perfidy, this idea of disguising military craft to look like civilian aircraft. Very simple reason. You don't want the other side to suddenly start taking out U.S. airplanes with Americans on board, right? That's a common sense thing. We don't want you to confuse, a U.S. aircraft that's just taken off from National or from LaGuardia, right, with some type of military aircraft. So that's one thing. But the other part of it for me is what then are the consequences here? What are the possible ramifications in the international as well as the U.S. legal community if this evidence comes further to light and there's either a pattern of doing this or whatever else may be found from it?
Thank you, Michael. You're absolutely right. I mean, this is a long-standing fundamental tenet, principle, rule of the law of war, and it's because we want our own civilians to be protected. And war divides the world between civilians who are supposed to be protected and military members who sacrifice themselves in their nation's name, right? And so when you blow those things up or combine them, that means civilians are now targets. But let's be real here. We're already in Alice in Wonderland because there was no war here. That first boat strike, the second boat strike, the 28th boat strike are strikes of murder because there is no non-international armed conflict like the administration supposedly claims, because we have yet to see the classified legal memo justifying any of this. So we're not in
murder.
Right. The 28th boat strike are strikes of murder because there is no.
Let's be clear.
In Wonderland because there was no war here. That first boat strike, the second boat strike, the 28th boat strike are strikes of murder because there is no non-international armed conflict like the administration supposedly claims, because we have yet to see the classified legal memo justifying any of this. So we're not in under the law of war. So there is no perfidy. It's just all murder. But if we're going to believe the administration that we actually are in an armed conflict by failing to adhere to the fundamental principle not to engage in perfidy, not to pretend to be a civilian aircraft in order to kill people. That means we're weakening everybody's adherence to that and the trust that we have amongst the international community when we go around training armed forces around the world. Hey, follow these laws. They're good rules. They help keep our society safe and us safe. Why would anyone believe us?
Professor Huntley, I think Professor Van Landingham is getting it exactly right there and not letting us miss the forest for the trees. Because if you dig into the reporting, there are three sources who tell the New York Times, okay, yes, it wasn't painted the way it ordinarily should have been painted to denote that it was a military vehicle. But we want you to know the transponder was transmitting a military tail number so that it could be identified via radio signals. But if the boats do not have the equipment necessary to pick up that radio signal, then does that count? And is what I am understanding from Professor Van Landingham is like all of this would have need to be signed off on by someone, right? There isn't a lawyer who looked at all of this. And if they weren't fundamentally concerned with the baseline rationale, then all of these details, like how the plane is communicating, whether or not is a military aircraft, that all in some ways, while absolutely important, becomes secondary to the bigger point, which is you have not set the legal predicate for war.
No, you're right, and Rachel is spot on. And thinking back to my time advising commanders on operations, this is again something that you should have caught. But this happens because when the Secretary of Defense, calls jag-offs and tries to ignore or just go around their advice, this is what happens. There are legitimate uses for planes like this, for surveillance, for gaining access to denied areas in some cases. But anybody who was reviewing this, any JAG reviewing this, would have then said, yes, we can now use a different platform, right? If you need the surveillance capabilities of this specific aircraft, then if we're going to carry out a lethal operation, we bring in a different platform that is clearly a military platform. But in, again, ignoring JAGs, going around experienced legal advisors, that's lost. And I have to wonder if this particular aircraft wasn't chosen to conduct the strike because it's a cool toy, right? It's something that is new. And so, it's lethal, as the SecDef would say. And so it was chosen despite the very clear legal issues that arise from its use in this manner.
Well, that leads me to a couple questions then, Professor Van Landingham. One, is this why they don't want to release the video? Because of what the people who have seen the video are now describing to the New York Times? And then secondly, to the point you made earlier, the broader point about where this all comes from, how there is no war, we do remember that the whole pretext about Venezuela came from like a PR team in Florida. You remember in Aurora, Colorado, when they said it was being overrun by Tren de Agua? That was a made-up thing by a PR firm in Colorado for the building that was having issues. They weren't keeping up with their tenants, and the president jumped on it. And we've now gotten to blowing up boats in the Caribbean and capturing the president of Venezuela from a made-up thing.
Yeah. From a
it
disguised
has
boat.
been made up, except for
That's
the fact that the
disguised
president of Venezuela is,
Oh, yeah, he's a bad guy.
the
Bad
leader of
dude.
it is a bad guy. But I go back to the alleged failure to adhere to fundamental law of war. If we're going to tell our service members we're in a war, even though we're not in a war, but if we're going to tell them we're at war, we also tell them that you can look your spouses in the eye, you can look your children in the eye once you come home from that war, because you're fighting honorably by adhering to the law. So if we're going to see destruction of law up here, we're now seeing it down here, and that affects every single service member in uniform today, because it's the commander-in-chief's job, and all commanders on down, to preserve the moral compass, right, to keep it on true north for their service members. So by playing fast and loose with the law at the fundamental level, we're not really at war, and we are in a pretend war, but we're not going to follow the laws of war anyway. What is that doing to our service members? There's moral corrosion going on here, and that's incredibly sad and shameful, in addition to the lives that are being lost through these murders.
My internet is acting up too. On my desktop. Now listen. He talking about going to war with Russia. With Russia. And you got to sneak attack a boat in Venezuela. Donald Trump.
Every time you make a change, and it could be a very
going to war.
Reasonable change, you still won't get it approved if you have to go to 50 states. So this centralizes it, and it's something which the people behind me, the very distinguished people, but Tim Cook just left of Apple and spoke to all of the big companies, great companies, and they won't be able to do this. This will not be successful unless they have one source of approval or disapproval, frankly. You could have disapproval too, but it's got to be one source. They can't go to 50 different sources. So I just want to thank everybody for being here. And Will, what would you like to add to that?
Sure. Mr. President, as you said, in keeping with your commitment to grow the American economy, create potentially millions of new American jobs, and maintain America's technological and military superiority in the years ahead, this is an executive order that orders aspects of your administration to take decisive action to ensure that AI can operate within a single national framework in this country, as opposed to being subject to state-level regulation that could potentially cripple the industry. David Sachs, your AI and crypto czar, has been one of the key players and key authors behind this EO. He can give you more of the granular detail.
This is
but the
crazy
big
as
picture
shit.
is that we're taking steps to ensure that AI operates under a single national standard so that we can reap the benefits that will come from it in terms of economic growth, job development, national security, and technological edge.
And it's really the biggest industry that anybody's seen. I mean, it's
That
taken
anybody
off.
has
And
seen.
again, I believe there'll only be one country that really benefits, and it should be the United States, and it will be if we do this, if we're unified. We have to be unified. China is unified because they have one vote. That's President Xi. He's just doing it, and that's the end of that. You know, we have a different system, but we have a system that's good, but we only have a system that's good if it's smart. David Sachs, could you say a few words, please?
Yes, sir. So, as you pointed out, we have over 1,000 bills going through state legislatures right now to regulate AI. Over 100 of them have already passed. 25% of them are in California, New York, and Illinois. You've got 50 states running in 50 different directions. It just doesn't make sense. We're creating a confusing patchwork of regulation. And what we need is a single federal standard. And that's what the CEO says, sir, is it basically states that the
Are they talking about going to war?
to create that federal framework. We're going to work with Congress, like the chairman here of the Commerce Committee.
It
Senator
says
Cruz,
Donald Trump,
and
Trump
other,
is preparing
members of
for
Congress to
war
define
with
that framework. In the
Russia.
meantime, this EO gives your administration tools to push back on the most onerous and excessive state regulations. We're not going to push back on all of them. For example, kid safety, we're going to protect. We're not pushing back on that, but we're going to push back on the most onerous examples of state regulations, sir.
So I spoke with other Republican senators, and we have great approval. I think I
Stop.
spoke to
Let me
anybody
go.
that even
I
had
can't believe none of this man
question.
say. They are not on board with you. He is the worst. Let's get to natural knowledge. You are right on time. Thank you. Let's go ahead on to Candace. I do not want to hear anything that Donald Trump is saying. He is so full
I
of
was not sleeping. I was not
hold
eating.
on. It. He's so full of it. Let's go.
All right, you guys, let's get started. Happy Monday. You are not going to believe it. You're not going to believe it. You probably will believe it at this point because all of it's so unbelievable that we now believe it. But last
Hey,
week,
Candace.
we obviously brought
Cynthia.
you a pretty explosive episode wherein we discussed Liberty University. Because when did Charlie's organization make a sudden switch? Suddenly everybody's discussing faith as opposed to his initial goals focused on the free markets and capitalism. When did Charlie's organization turn into a church? Well, the answer, as we went backward, is that it began with him creating Falkirk Center. And now I am going to reveal to you what exactly happened with the Falkirk Center. Obviously, scandal. Scandal which I now believe could have led to the fall.
To the fall of where? Y'all coming in, hit the like button, please. Double tap the face of your screen. I hit the three dots at the top.
Of both men, actually, Jerry Falwell Jr.
Oh.
Backward, said it began with him creating Falkirk Center. And now I am going to reveal to you what exactly happened with the Falkirk Center. Obviously, scandal. Scandal which I now believe could have led to the fall of both men, actually, Jerry Falwell Jr. and Charlie Kirk. Plus, later on in the show, Megyn Kelly is saying no to the Israel lobby bullying. She gave a powerful statement to Tucker Carlson, who has just been declared an enemy of the state of Israel alongside little old me. I'm not kidding. Welcome back to Candace.
Oh, wow.
Where should we begin, you guys? Let's just say that there have been a lot of misguided PR operations since Charlie Kirk's assassination, and I think that that is putting it mildly, right? A lot of PR blunders, so to speak. Let's see, there was Operation He Wasn't Catholic Curious, followed by Operation Candace Hasn't Spoken to Charlie in Years, followed by Operation LOL Egyptian Planes, followed by Operation Debunk Mitch in Fort Huachuca with baby mama drama, Huachuca mama drama. That was a lot. And I guess what I really mean when I use the word misguided is that whoever is in control of these operations has a bit of a lead foot, you know what I mean? Too much gas on the pedal at all times. The immediate force that's being applied to these psychological operations, they go from 0 to 100, has sort of made the panic behind them pretty obvious to us, the public. It feels like there is someone who has a lot of money to spend, but maybe that person who is in control of spending the money happens to be an idiot. Like he's just phoning people up, like, I'll give you $600,000 and have that money transferred in your account with Bitcoin today. If you just say these words, Candace has gone crazy, Charlie wasn't Catholic, Mitch, his baby mama is a crazy man, crazy, everybody's crazy. The expression used in the UK that my husband uses is rich and thick. That's used to describe a dumbass who has a lot of cash on hand, okay? Now, frankly, I have to say, in retrospect, the weirdest operation of all, which still persists today in little pockets of the internet, was Operation LOL Candace Has Dreams. Why did she talk about her dreams? How dare she discuss her dreams? Only weird people have dreams and then tell others about them. Ugh, dreams are ridiculous. They shouldn't be listened to. So the question becomes, who exactly is making these terrible PR decisions? Like, who thinks, yeah, what we need to do today is we have to attack the dream. Just go at it and do not let up on the dream. I think I know the answer. I think it's someone who feels personally victimized by the dream. Show of hands, who feels personally victimized by Candace Owens' dreams? And to be honest, it's sort of hilarious that I didn't put 2 and 2 together sooner than today. So let's go backward, okay? In the immediate 3 weeks following Charlie's assassination, I was obviously in a haze. I'll be honest, I think I told you this before, but I was not sleeping, I was not eating, and I was having incredibly vivid dreams. I began dreaming like I hadn't dreamed since I was a child because it was every night. And to be honest, it was overwhelming. I didn't like it. I felt like Charlie was haunting me. It stressed me out. I expressed that to my husband through many tears. He told me that I should consult a priest, which I did. And we spoke about souls in purgatory. Anyway, today I feel that it is time to tell you the entirety of the repeat dream that I was having in those early weeks. It was actually a replay of an actual lunch that Charlie and I did have in the past. Back in 2018, Charlie and I went to Israel together. And in the dream, we were sitting in the exact same restaurant on a patio, and Charlie began the conversation saying something that he actually said, a real memory from that trip. Charlie was sitting on the patio and he was eating hummus. And he's like, this is the best hummus I've ever tasted in my life. A dramatic oversell. I always feel there are certain places that people hype so much that when you go there, you feel like you have to pretend it's the best thing you've ever experienced. Otherwise, you sort of let yourself down. It's like, this is the best ever. And truly, I didn't love Israel. I didn't love it even when I was a Zionist because it felt dangerous. You could sense the Muslims hated.
She was a Zionist. Oh, man, that just blows my mind to hear her say that. Oh. We have heard her admit that she was a Zionist. Okay. Thank God. Again, this is why I say, the renewing of the mind, like the acceptance of Christ. I could no longer hold her accountable when she didn't have a relationship with God, but she does now. And Lord, we thank you. Let's go.
Life. A dramatic oversell. I always feel there are certain places that people hype so much that when you go there, you feel like you have to pretend it's the best thing you've ever experienced. Otherwise, you sort of let yourself down. It's like, this is the best ever. And truly, I didn't love Israel. I didn't love it even when I was a Zionist because it felt dangerous. You could sense the Muslims hated the Jews. It felt like we were on a tour. People were sneering at us. I just didn't love Israel. I've expressed that many times in the past, but Charlie was getting into the character. It was the greatest thing he had ever eaten. Anyways, the setting of this particular dream, however, had one dramatic difference. We were not there for the opening of the embassy. And this difference, by the way, I don't really understand yet. I'm just sharing it with you. Instead, we were there in this dream setting for Bibi Netanyahu's wife's funeral. Again, that makes entirely no sense. I've never met his...
What? Now, this was in her dream, but she's never met Bibi Netanyahu's wife. Okay, let's listen to this dream. Hold on.
And this difference, by the way, I don't really understand yet. I'm just sharing it with you. Instead, we were there in this dream setting for Bibi Netanyahu's wife's funeral. Again, that makes entirely no sense. I've never met his wife. I've never spoken about his wife. I know nothing about his wife. So that's just the context of it. I don't make the rules of dream world. And obviously, as we were sitting there, it didn't strike me as weird because when you're in your dream state, everything that happens for some reason feels like, oh yeah, this is totally normal. Anyway, Charlie said to me, I don't have much time. He followed that up explaining to me that I needed to see what happened on his left. And he told me explicitly, they betrayed me, multiple people. And I said, I know, but who? Then came the frustrating part of the dream. Every time I would say who, you know when you're in a dream and you go, who, or you try to speak in the dream, and then suddenly you're actually speaking in real life and you start to wake yourself up from the dream by accident. That's what kept happening. And whenever I would try to listen to what he was saying, it sounded like he was underwater. So I was frustrated by this. I can't get to the part where you tell me who betrayed you. It wasn't until the third week after his death that finally one face came through in this dream. It came through as clear as day from around the corner of the restaurant. And it was Andrew Kolvet's. Now you have to imagine, in the immediate aftermath of this, I was not thinking Turning Point USA. Where we're at today is almost like unimaginable going back there. In fact, I was very friendly with Andrew Kolvet. We had spoken extensively in the aftermath of Charlie's death. I've known him for years, and I felt really weird about having seen him in this dream, but it was so vivid and it was so compelling that I felt that as weird and as odd as it was,
everybody needs a
that I had
friend
to
like
text him
Candace.
and tell him what I saw. And this is the text, just sharing with you so you guys know if this all really happened. I said I rarely have vivid dreams, but I had one clear as day this weekend. Charlie came to me and he sat down and he told me that he did not have much time, that I needed to know that he was in fact betrayed and that they are hiding what happened to my left.
Oh, she sent this message to who was in her dream.
But it was so vivid and it was so compelling.
Oh, wow.
That I felt that as weird and as odd as it was, that I had to text him and tell him what I saw. And this is the text, just sharing with you so you guys know if this all really happened. I said I rarely have vivid dreams, but I had one clear as day this weekend. Charlie came to me and he sat down and he told me that he did not have much time, that I needed to know that he was in fact betrayed and that they are hiding what happened to my left. I believe his soul is in purgatory, and I believe that you know much more than you've said publicly or privately. And Andrew Kolvet never answered. Last time Andrew Kolvet and I spoke. Now, of course, fast forward today, and we learn that it's been Andrew Kolvet orchestrating all of these attacks, actually. Got caught red-handed. It's sort of ridiculous that I didn't just assume that earlier. But like I said, that's not where my brain went in the aftermath of Charlie's assassination. I thought, these are good guys who loved Charlie Kirk. But the question I'm now arriving at is why? Why, if it was just a dream, why does it require so much effort on the PR front? Why are we mocking dreams, right? Maybe it wasn't just a dream. In fact, thereafter, what I can tell you now is that two people within Andrew's inner circle reached out to me and told me that I should look more into Andrew Kolvet, okay? I'm going to tell you another funny story because it now makes... But the question I'm now arriving at is why? Why, if it was just a dream, why does it require so much effort on the PR front? Why are we mocking dreams, right? Maybe it wasn't just a dream. In fact, thereafter, what I can tell you now is that 2 people within Andrew's inner circle reached out to me and told me that I should look more into Andrew Kolvet, okay? I'm going to tell you another funny story because it now makes me, the irony of it is pretty thick. Back, and this is another story about me and Andrew, back when Charlie was alive and things were great, Andrew called me up. This was actually the end of, I want to say, ahead of AmFest. Yeah, the notorious AmFest that Tucker spoke at. Andrew called me up and he asked me, and I'm not kidding, in earnest, he asked me, "Are you a witch?" I laughed at him on the phone. I was in London and I said, "No, why? What a ridiculous thing to ask me." And he said, "Well, because we just noticed that when some people attack you, really bad things happen to them." And then he proceeded to tell me, which I did not know, quite horrifically, that Dennis Prager, who had just written this open article about me, and it was not done in a very nice way, had actually fallen, and he was very seriously injured. There was nothing funny about that, and that he was, having to speak out and type out of his mouth, and then he kind of went backwards and was like, the Daily Wire thing, the Jordan Peterson thing, and like bad things are happening to people after they attack.
Everybody needs a friend like
Candace.
Candace.
He was like asking that question seriously, and I remarked to him, "No, but I have really bad rebounds, not just from other people, but to me as well. I've explained this to you guys that if I do something bad, I immediately, the karma of it, I would experience. Like if I stole your phone today, which was sitting on a counter, and I stole it from a restaurant, I'd go back home and my house would be burned to the ground. That's my kind of very swift karma hits me fast. Anyways, the point is that despite this bizarre question that he asked me about witchcraft, it's him that's the one that's orchestrating all of these attacks, and they have been backfiring on Turning Point USA. And I now understand why exactly it is that he's been leading these attacks, and Liberty University was actually the key. We spoke about the Moonies cult, right? That's what we spoke about on Thursday. I told you guys all about this Korean man, Sun Young Moon, who was actually working for the CIA, Mossad, while leading effectively what became a religious cult. They were buying up land, buildings, entire blocks, all these different companies, while convincing the masses that it was actually for the Father. Moon had minted himself as a messiah. And then he got involved with Liberty University via Jerry Falwell Sr. And my conclusion of that episode was that the true aim of Turning Point USA Faith was to transform Charlie Kirk into a messiah of sorts, whose image that they could control.
That would be
death.
why they was trying to act like he was bigger, like he was God, like he was the second coming. That would make sense. Why it's like, fly the flag, half staff. It's like, well, now who is he? Yeah, that would make sense. It's like they was trying to make it seem like he was gonna be the next president, like he was God, like he was not civil rights was putting him up there with MLK. It's like now wait, what? That will make sense. Keep going, carry on.
Minted himself as a messiah. And then he got involved with Liberty University via Jerry Falwell Sr. And my conclusion of that episode was that the true aim of Turning Point USA Faith was to transform Charlie Kirk into a messiah of sorts, whose image that they could control in his death. And obviously an image that the public couldn't question because of how horrifically sad it was. We all watched him be assassinated. In fact, that might be the answer to the question, why did they want us to watch it? You wanted to kill Charlie Kirk, but why did you want the entire world to watch it and feel emotionally moved, as we have been by this assassination? For good measure, I should now tell you that the Moonies cult was riddled with claims of sexual rituals, physical and psychological abuse, and of course, as we've covered already, financial corruption. So much financial corruption that it actually led to a political assassination in Japan. Remember 2022? Let's go back to 2022 in Japan, because I'll tell you the reason behind this assassination, according to the person who committed it. You guys know how Turning Point USA has evolved from a charity asking for a check or asking for a one-time credit card donation to now asking for people to pledge their 401ks, their property,
They do what?
Basically a means for the elderly assassination in Japan. Remember 2022? Let's go back to 2022 in Japan, because I'll tell you the reason behind this assassination, according to the person who committed it. You guys know how Turning Point USA has evolved from a charity asking for a check or asking for a one-time credit card donation to now asking for people to pledge their 401ks, their property, basically a means for the elderly they've established to include Turning Point USA in their wills. And doesn't that just feel a little bit icky?
What?
Doesn't that just open the door for old people, the elderly going senile?
Leave them in your will. Did she say leave them in your will?
According to the person who committed it. You guys know how Turning Point USA has evolved from a charity asking for a check or asking for a one-time credit card donation to now asking for people to pledge their 401ks, their property, basically a means for the elderly they've established to include Turning Point USA in their wills. And doesn't that just feel a little bit icky?
Oh, wow.
Doesn't that just open the door for old people, the elderly going senile and then maybe accidentally signing away their lives before they die, their estates? Turning Point wants to be included in your grandma's estate planning. I don't like that vibe. Well, that is precisely the reason that the Moonies cult ended up leading to the assassination of the Prime Minister of Japan. The Prime Minister, do you remember him? Shinzo Abe, the longtime Prime Minister of Japan. He was shot and he was killed because a 41-year-old man blamed the Prime Minister, whose family did in fact have long-running ties to the Moonies Church, the Unification Church as it's called, and whose cabinet was factually closely associated with the Unification Church. He blamed him for promoting that church, which eventually bankrupted his family. This is ended up leading to the assassination of the Prime Minister of Japan. The Prime Minister, do you remember him? Shinzo Abe, the longtime Prime Minister of Japan. He was shot and he was killed because a 41-year-old man blamed the Prime Minister, whose family did in fact have long-running ties to the Moonies Church, the Unification Church as it's called, and whose cabinet was factually closely associated with the Unification Church. He blamed him for promoting that church, which eventually bankrupted his family. This is per the New York Times. They wrote, quote, "In an internal audit, the governing Liberal Democratic Party found that some 180 of its elected lawmakers, or almost half of its entire membership in Japan's parliament, either accepted donations or attended events held by the church and related organizations. That is ringing a bell here." Anyways, back to Abe. Abe's assassination was conducted by a man that was destitute and he was broke because of the Unification Church. They had brainwashed his mother in her old age, brainwashed her into giving the church all of his family's money, and she left her sons, his family, so destitute that he and his siblings often didn't even have enough money to eat, and they became so despondent that his brother committed suicide and he himself had attempted suicide. Again, I'm just telling you what happened factually, obviously not a justification for him to have assassinated the Prime Minister. But the story here is compelling, and if I'm being honest, that is exactly the strand of ick that I got as I was watching AmFest and this tent and like the microphone and like put into a case and set. It's like the ghost of Charlie. That's exactly the strand of ick that I got. Like everyone was on stage speaking about the Lord, but no one was actually meaning the Lord. It was instead watching a charismatic cult, people who were trained in tactics of manipulation, preying on weak minds of their followers, and people who actually love Charlie Kirk. And of course, that explains the Hollywood tint to it all as well. Anyways, you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with Liberty University? Well, funny story. I was contacted by people who are still at Liberty University, still working in Liberty University's office, and they told me that I had a couple of things wrong.
Y'all hit the like button. Double tap the face of your screen. Double tap the face of the screen. Or hit the three dots at the top right corner in. Come on, double tap. It's just real simple. Bam, bam. Hit the three dots. We got to get the likes up. This is crazy. Oh my goodness. The sooner I get the likes up, is the sooner I can get it moving again. Double tap. Can y'all see the three dots at the top corner in? What we doing? Oh, she said there's no participation.
Are trained in tactics of manipulation, preying on weak minds of their followers, people who actually love Charlie Kirk. And of course, that explains the Hollywood tint to it all as well. Anyways, you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with Liberty University? Well, funny story. I was contacted by people who are still at Liberty University, still working in Liberty University's office, and they told me that I had a couple of things wrong. And I will say allegedly here, allegedly. They told me that Jerry Falwell Jr. Was also taken down. Unfairly taken down is what they said. Essentially, the entire pool boy scandal, that was the... He's still working in Liberty University's office.
And we didn't even get a chance to go back to
I had a couple of things wrong.
Schoolboy.
And I will say allegedly here, allegedly. They told me that Jerry Falwell Jr. was also taken down. Unfairly taken down is what they said. Essentially, the entire pool boy scandal, that was the sex scandal that took out Jerry Falwell. And the circumstance which Jerry Falwell eventually spoke out about actually himself, confirming this person inside of events, was that his wife was indeed having an affair with the pool boy. And that affair was then used to generate a ton of articles and then used to force his ouster out of the church. And this person claims that it was corrupt pastors, evangelical pastors, that wanted him out and wanted to put an end to the Falkirk Center. That took out Jerry Falwell. And the circumstance which Jerry Falwell eventually spoke out about actually himself, taken down is what they said. Essentially, the entire pool boy scandal, that was the sex scandal that took out Jerry Falwell. And the circumstance which Jerry Falwell eventually spoke out about actually himself, confirming this person inside of events, was that his wife was indeed having an affair with the pool boy. And that affair was then used to generate a ton of articles and then used to force his ouster out of the church. And this person claims that it was corrupt pastors, evangelical pastors, that wanted him out and wanted to put an end to the Falkirk Center. Okay, so to back this up, Charlie Kirk and Jerry Falwell came together and established what was the precursor to Turning Point Faith. I was around for that. The aim was to harness the energy of Charlie's brand with the youth and to turn that into ministry for evangelicals and to inspire young people to go to Liberty University, to sign up and to go to Liberty University, because Jerry Falwell Jr. had turned it into a very profitable school, and he had separated it from the church.
Hold on. Can you hear me? Can y'all hear me? Are y'all able to hear me? This is a mess. Are y'all able to hear me? Okay, you're in my clouds. And if you can't communicate or answer or say something, I don't care if you're in the clouds or not. If you don't want to, yeah, get out. Go ahead and leave. You don't want to hit the like button. You don't want to tell me if you can hear me. Why are you here? You're about to make me shut this whole thing down because y'all trying to play. And I don't feel like playing. Hello, not your old lady. How are you? Are you able to hear me? Now, for the ones who are still up in the clouds, I need for you to double tap the face of the screen if you're listening in on your phone device. If not, hit the three dots at the top right corner in and get the likes up. Or you can politely leave. Hi, Sky Level.
Wanting the finances not to be mingled with the church, which was something that his father harnessed the energy of Charlie's brand with the youth, and to turn that into ministry for evangelicals and to inspire young people to go to Liberty University, to sign up and to go to Liberty University, because Jerry Falwell Jr.
Can y'all hit the like button
into
for
a
me,
very
please?
profitable school. And he had separated it from the church, wanting the finances not to be mingled with the church, which was something that his father had not done. There was no separation between the church and the school when Jerry Falwell Sr. was alive. Well, apparently the pastors who made a fortune while Jerry Falwell Sr. was alive did not like that. They did not like the separation of the church and the school. They wanted to profit from the school's earnings as they had done in the past. Again, I'm going to say allegedly. But this person inside, they've got access. So when Charlie Kirk came around and wanted to expand things in a way that would not directly benefit the church, they weren't so keen on that idea. Now, this person that I spoke to is my favorite kind of source because she disagrees with me passionately on the topic of Israel. She said, I have to speak up irrespective of that because what they did to Charlie is wrong. And they're lying about what happened. And I know that something is not right with these pastors because I know these men. So yeah, they established, Jerry Falwell, Charlie Kirk, the Falkirk Center in 2021. And I want you guys to remember that, interestingly enough, when Charlie Kirk was meeting at Liberty University about establishing that Falkirk Center, a certain Johnny Moore inserted himself into the meeting, the planning sesh, so to speak. He just pulled up a chair. Now, you remember I told you about this Johnny Moore character. At this time, in 2021, when he was back on their campus, there was no reason for Johnny to actually be there, even though he kind of grew up on the campus. He did. Johnny had been at that campus since he was 14 years old. We'll get into that. But he had quit his job as the lead pastor of Liberty University back in 2014. And yet here he was, coming up with a reason to be there, snooping into Charlie and the Falkirk Center. And you should know that when Johnny left
Oh, I'm sorry. When he left
Liberty
what?
University in 2014, he went to Hollywood to start the PR company, the Kairos Company. Andrew Kolvet, he was a part of the Kairos Company. You'll recall that. He's Johnny Moore's partner, protege, I don't know what you want to call it. But when that Kairos Company got established, Andrew Kolvet was the executive vice president, and he effectively was working for the Kairos Company, Andrew Kolvet, and then got hired to be the PR guy for Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. Another interesting point that this source told me is that Johnny Moore, despite going to Hollywood in 2015 to work with, and I should mention here, Mark Burnett, it's who he went to go work for. Mark Burnett, very big name in reality TV world. If you're in your head like I did immediately when I thought about that, I was like, wait, wasn't Erica on a show randomly? What's the show called Summer House in 2019? Interestingly enough, when Mark Burnett took over MGM, became the chairperson of MGM. Mark Burnett, it's who he went to go work for. Mark Burnett, very big name in reality TV world. If you're in your head like I did immediately when I thought about that, I was like, wait, wasn't Erica on a show randomly?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
the show
yeah.
called Summer House
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
2019? Interestingly enough,
That reality
when Mark
TV.
Burnett took over MGM, became the
Reality
chairperson of
TV.
MGM, they did acquire.
Which that dating show that Erica Kirk would have been on. Hold on. That's what she's talking about. What was the name of it?
Company, Andrew Kolvet, and then got hired to be the PR guy for Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. Another interesting point that the source told me is that Johnny Moore, despite going to Hollywood in 2015 to work with, and I should mention here, Mark Burnett, it's who he went to go work for. Mark Burnett,
He looked
very
different
big name.
though. Mike Burnett. Hold on. I'm gonna put Erica Kirk and see what it do. Okay. Mark Burnett. Let me see.
In reality TV world. If you're in your head like I did immediately when I thought about that, I was like, wait, wasn't Erica on a show randomly? What's the show called Summer House in 2019? Interestingly enough, when Mark Burnett took over MGM, became the chairperson of MGM, they did acquire. He owned Summer House. So that's interesting. So there could be a connection there. There could not be one. But I'd be interested to know who her PR person was there, and I will ask how she got on the show. Anyways, back
so
to
Mark Burnett
Andrew
was
Kolvet,
what? Oh Lord.
to be the PR guy for Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. Another interesting point that the source told me is that Johnny Moore, despite going to Hollywood in 2015 to work with, and I should mention here, Mark Burnett, it's who he went to go work for. Mark Burnett, very big name in reality TV world. If you're in your head like I did immediately when I thought about that, I was like, wait, wasn't Erica on a show randomly? What's the show called Summer House in 2019? Interestingly enough, when Mark Burnett took over MGM, became the chairperson of MGM, they did acquire. He owned Summer House. So that's interesting. So there could be a connection there. There could not be one. But I'd be interested to know who her PR person was there, and I will ask how she got on the show. Anyways, back to Andrew Kolvet. Back to Johnny Moore. Johnny Moore immediately and consistently, despite establishing the Kairos Company, wanted his job back at Liberty University. He wanted to be still a part of Liberty University, and the question is why? Why was the Kairos Company so interested in keeping a leg inside of growing evangelical?
Yeah, I need for y'all to get the likes up. Now, I know I was having computer issues earlier, but I need for y'all to get the likes up. That's where I'm at with it. Double tap the face of your screen. Get the likes up. Double tap the face of your screen. Get the likes up. That's what I mean. Get the lights up. Come on, y'all, get the lights up. I can move forward. Oh, my goodness.
Organizations. Do you remember back when the ADL put me on their list, before I got fired, before the whole Christ is King debacle? That's what they put me on the list for. And then a year later, Dr. Jordan Peterson, and a certain Reverend Johnny Moore created a report and doubled down, explaining that Christ is King is in fact actually anti-Semitic, and they created this whole video graphic to show that I was a radical for saying Christ is King. Yeah, that's Johnny Moore and his beliefs pretty much in a nutshell. Like, he just does disastrous PR to defend the state of Israel. But boy, is it earning him some money. He serves on the ADL task force. He received the Medal of Valor from the Simon Wiesenthal Center. These are the organizations, by the way, they were born out of Zionist gangs, literal gangs, just to be clear. And they are the very organizations behind the initial attacks on me that have from the beginning been meant to pull me and Charlie apart by drumming up weird anti-Semitism scandals and then having donors demand action. Anyway, I want you to hear Reverend Johnny Moore in his own words so you can catch his drift, catch his vibe, if you will. Take a listen.
So now, I'm involved in the ADL in all kinds of ways. I'm a part of the ADL and Aspen Institute Civil Society Fellowship. I'm on the advisory board for the Aspen Institute and ADL's Civil Society Fellowship. It has.
Why do all of them have that?
Where we have to keep our
tutti frutti type vibe.
To keep our eyes on certain trends and certain ideas, and when people say things, what they actually mean. It's been not only an amazing educational experience, a practical way for me to get into this fight against hate for good, but it has also afforded me the opportunity to learn so much along the way and to meet so many different people. And I can tell you again, I'm not Jewish. I'm Christian, and yet I've just always felt at home, in the ADL community.
Now let's hear him, but let's put him in a yarmulke. Take a listen.
I know the state of Israel is strong. It's as strong as it's ever been. The truth is, you don't need us. But what I want you to know is that, need us or not, we are committed to building a great wall of Christian Zionism all over the world to push back the forces of anti-Semitism. But that also includes educating well-meaning Christians on our own history of Christian anti-Semitism.
Because he
So
is.
who is that guy? Who is Johnny Moore? Where did he come from? The answer is actually quite compelling. He was a kid that grew up in the Lynchburg, Virginia area. And I'm just going to actually read this first sentence from Christianity Today. It says, Johnny Moore was only 14 when he first stayed in the dorms at Liberty University. And since then, he's pretty much remained at the school that Jerry Falwell Sr. founded 41 years ago in Lynchburg, Virginia. Moore and his single mom family briefly lived in the dorms after his parents' divorce and a temporary stretch of homelessness. Okay. Now, somebody that went to school with him verified exactly that. They said he was a kid who grew up outside of Lynchburg. In high school, he was very poor. Very poor. They stressed this. Not a problem, obviously. I was poor too. But they also mentioned that Johnny had some severe daddy issues. I am told directly by someone who went to school with him that he made a name for himself in a long way. He got caught with some porn magazines and was pretty badly made fun of. Okay, kids make mistakes growing up. But it gets more interesting when you learn that suddenly little Johnny fell into a lot of money. He had a go in Lynchburg, Virginia. Moore and his single mom family briefly lived in the dorms after his parents' divorce and a temporary stretch of homelessness. Okay. Now, somebody that went to school with him verified exactly that. They said he was a kid who grew up outside of Lynchburg. In high school, he was very poor. Very poor. They stressed this. Not a problem, obviously. I was poor too. But they also mentioned that Johnny had some severe daddy issues. I am told directly by someone who went to school with him that he made a name for himself in a long way. He got caught with some porn magazines and was pretty badly made fun of. Okay, kids make mistakes growing up. But it gets more interesting when you learn that suddenly little Johnny fell into a lot of money. He had a male mentor who bought him and everyone in his family, allegedly, brand new cars. So Johnny was po no mo. And this daddy mentor...
He was po no mo. Lord.
Of his is the one that pushed for Jerry Falwell Sr. founded 41 years ago in Lynchburg, Virginia. Moore and his single mom family briefly lived in the dorms after his parents' divorce and a temporary stretch of homelessness. Okay. Now, somebody that went to school with him verified exactly that. They said he was a kid who grew up outside of Lynchburg. In high school, he was very poor. Very poor. They stressed this. Not a problem, obviously. I was poor too. But they also mentioned that Johnny had some severe daddy issues. I am told directly by someone who went to school with him that he made a name for himself in a long way. He got caught with some porn magazines and was pretty badly made fun of. Okay, kids make mistakes growing up. But it gets more interesting when you learn that suddenly little Johnny fell into a lot of money. He had a male mentor who bought him and everyone in his family, allegedly, brand new cars. So Johnny was po no mo. And this daddy mentor of his is the one that pushed for Jerry Falwell Sr. to give Johnny a position.
Po no mo. Jerry Falwell. Man. Y'all double tap the face of the screen on your phone if that's how you're listening in. Or hit the three dots at the top right corner in. It's three dots up there. Can y'all hit those dots for me? Or double tap your face of your phone if you haven't already, so we can get the likes up, please. Man, Ooh wee. I know a couple of cat pastors who had oh wow, this is beginning to get really, really close to some situations that I know of local pastors who had a godson or a mentor child that they was mentoring, staying in their house, you know, right there, they right hand man, you know, younger cats, you know. And I remember bumping into one. I mean, we went way back in the hood, and I saw him with this young cat. He was supposed to have been from out of town, like in the country. And he may have been 18, 19, or no, maybe 17, 16, 17. And I remember saying, when he saw me, he immediately went to explaining to me who this little cat was. And I was like, well, where's his mama? I mean, his mama just let him come up here and stay with, I mean, what does he do? Do he work? What? You know. I'm like, because it just didn't feel right. The texture did not feel right. It didn't feel right. Yeah, it didn't feel right. And I remember, I mean, I was on him. I mean, and let me say this. I knew him and he knew, and I used to date one of his friends, and he used to date my best friend, and he knew my telepathy. He knew my intuition very well. He knew my vibe very well, because I could back in that day I could feel you somewhere and say, girl, come on, let's go. I know where they at. And pull right up to it, you know. So when I kept asking him questions, you know, now who is he? And how long he live in the house with you? And Michelle, I mean, your wife okay with this? I mean, where he sleep? So if he don't work, when she at work, where he be at? I mean, I was just asking 50 million questions. And he knew where I was about to go with this. And I don't even know why. I don't remember. I don't know if it was after that Eddie Long stuff. I don't know. I can't remember what was making me say, send that boy back home. Send him back home. What does he do? I mean, is he going to school? Is he trying to be in the ministry? Well, what you got him for? Stop laughing, because we can, yeah, man, I'm like, what is this? Is he funny? Do he have a girlfriend? I was asking 50 million questions, and he said, yeah, I'm gonna tell him he got to go home. Yeah, send him back home, because I don't understand what you doing. Is he, what? Is he going to school? I mean, he ain't got no dad. Where's daddy at? And it just had that feel. It just had that feel like he was a kid that was being manipulated, like he was being groomed. And I don't quite know if I came out and said it. I don't remember if I said it, but I know with all the questions I was throwing at him, he knew where I was going with the questions I was asking. Cause what's the point? Why you gotta have? What? Are you handicapped? What's going on? Is he in the ministry? I was like, send him back. Send him back. And he sent him back. I wasn't gonna sleep right. Y'all hit the like button. Come on.
University. That man's name.
Hit the like button, y'all. Double tap. Hit the like button. Yeah, naturally, Nolans. I just double tap. I know we having issues with our phone, but ain't nothing wrong with the face of your phone. Double tap it. Or hit the 3 dots at the top right. Or leave. Either you double tap, hit the 3 dots, or go.
Is Ron Godwin. It's Johnny's mentor. Ron Godwin. The protege of Sun Young Moon.
Well, hold on. I don't.
Okay. Now, somebody that went to school with him verified exactly that. They said he was a kid who grew up outside of Lynchburg. In high school, he was very poor.
All this
very
church grooming.
Not a problem, obviously. I was poor too. But they also mentioned that Johnny had some severe daddy issues. I am told directly by someone who went to school with him that he made a name for himself in a long way. He got caught with some porn magazines and was pretty badly made fun of. Okay, kids make mistakes growing up. But it gets more interesting when you learn that suddenly little Johnny fell into a lot of money.
Oh, your TV, thank you.
He had a male mentor who bought him and everyone in his family, allegedly,
this is so sad,
brand new cars. So Johnny was po no mo.
Ooh.
And this daddy mentor of his is the one that pushed for Jerry Falwell Sr. to give Johnny a position with Liberty University. That man's name is Ron Godwin. It's Johnny's mentor. Ron Godwin. The protege of Sun Young Moon. The Moonies cult. Sun Young Moon, who led this Moonies cult, picked Ron Godwin, not only just to run the Washington Times for him, which I told you they purchased the Washington Times, but Moon also declared Ron Godwin to be one of his 3 disciples, declaring, and I quote, "You will be like the 3 disciples of Jesus. Each one of you will put yourself in Jesus' position and multiply 3 disciples of your own." So,
Pyramid.
Moon, because I am like Jesus, I feel like I'm blaspheming just saying that. And he picks this Ron Godwin guy, and he says to Ron Godwin, "And you will pick 3 disciples of your own." And yeah, we can confirm that looks like one of Godwin's 3 disciples, so to speak, was Johnny Moore, who minted the Kairos company with none other than Andrew Kolvet of Turning Point USA. Looks like this. If we look at that in an organization chart.
Look like a pyramid, that hierarchy. Let's look at it. Big Daddy and his 3 picks. His 3 lovers. His 3 groomsters. Wow.
Oh, and yeah, we can confirm that looks like one of Godwin's 3 disciples, so to speak, was Johnny Moore, who minted the Kairos company with none other than Andrew Kolvet of Turning Point USA. Looks like this. If we look at that in an organization chart. Yep, he's a declared disciple, and I guess I should have put technically Johnny beneath him. And Andrew, I'm wondering if Andrew is Johnny Moore's disciple, or I don't know, one of Ron Godwin's 3 disciples. We're not sure. But we can tell you that when Ron Godwin retired from Liberty University in October of 2014, of course, his Johnny boy left too, right? Johnny was his protege. And Johnny, that's when Johnny went to Hollywood. But then all of a sudden, he wanted back in at Liberty University, and he was told no repeatedly. And without Daddy Godwin to push through his paperwork this time, there really was no pathway for him to end up back at Liberty until lo and behold, in 2021, as his executive vice president, Mr. Andrew Kolvet, is now managing Charlie Kirk, the most unbelievable thing happens. Jerry Falwell gets ousted from Liberty University. Jerry Prevost is named as his successor, and the very first thing that Jerry Prevost does is he fires Charlie Kirk, and he also moves rather immediately to reinstate none other than the sometime university, and he was told no repeatedly. And without Daddy Godwin to push through his paperwork this time, there really was no pathway for him to end up back at Liberty until lo and behold, in 2021, as his executive vice president, Mr. Andrew Kolvet, is now managing Charlie Kirk, the most unbelievable thing happens. Jerry Falwell gets ousted from Liberty University. Jerry Prevost is named as his successor, and the very first thing that Jerry Prevost does is he fires Charlie Kirk.
I don't think I heard her say that Charlie was working at Liberty. So he was working at, okay, I thought he went there, but no, he was working there. Right, okay. I don't remember.
Immediately to reinstate none other than the sometimes lurking Johnny Moore, paying him, I am told, an absurd amount monthly retainer in Hollywood. But then all of a sudden he wanted back in at Liberty University, and he was
Come on, y'all, double tap. Hit the like button.
Godwin to push through his paperwork this time, there really was no pathway for him to end up back at Liberty until
just bring it back a second.
Lo and behold, it's 2021, as his executive in October of 2014.
Is that enough?
Of course, his Johnny boy left too, right? Johnny was.
Is that enough?
And Johnny, that's when Johnny went to Hollywood. But then all of a sudden, he wanted back in at Liberty University, and he was told no repeatedly. And without Daddy Godwin to push through his paperwork this time, there really was no pathway for him to end up back at Liberty until lo and behold, in 2021, as his executive vice president, Mr. Andrew Kolvet, is now managing Charlie Kirk.
You double tap for me, Chico.
Jerry Falwell gets ousted from Liberty University. Jerry Prevost is named as his successor, and the very first thing that Jerry Prevost does is he fires Charlie Kirk, and he also moves rather immediately to reinstate none other than the sometimes lurking Johnny Moore, paying him, I am told, an absurd amount monthly retainer. And I'll say allegedly here, even though my source comes directly from inside Liberty University, so I feel pretty confident that the information I received is accurate. That
she could sure get up in there, can't she?
Johnny's now back and influential and making money here. So what's the point here?
Thank you.
Take me very seriously when I say
thank you, VVTT.
That Turning Point Faith is problematic. The organization is intended to be the Moonies 2.0.
Samantha,
the intention
no
behind
more.
the Moonies cult, by the way, in case it's not clear to you, was one world government.
One world government. One New World Order. Okay, one world government. Is that different than New World Order? Yeah, that Po No Mo is funny to me because, I used to tell Scooter that he wasn't hood enough. And then I would talk Ebonics, and it would just get up under his skin. Why do you talk like that? Why do you do that? And I would always say no more. And then one day, he was he in college? He said and he said, I don't want to go no more. I said no more. It did not sound right coming out of his mouth. And he said, ain't that what you say no more? So then she said, po no more. And I was like, I don't know if I like you talking like no more. No more. Where'd you get that from? You? Like, oh, okay. No more. You gotta watch, man. I'm telling you. It was funny. Let's go. Let's go. Hit the like button. I wish I could say that in a funny type way. Can I get y'all to hit the like? I can't even do it. Stop trying. Let's go.
At Turning Point, faith is problematic. The organization is intended to be the Moonies 2.0. The intention behind the Moonies cult, by the way, in case it's not clear to you, was one world government, achieved through the concept of a unification church. We are all being brought in by the, I guess you could say, their version
devil
of the Lord, which is just
the devil.
I don't know, some CIA clone, somebody that you can get.
But one world government, is that the same as New World Order? Is that the same? You know, they like playing on words. But I've never heard one world government.
The organization is intended to be the Moonies 2.0. The intention behind the Moonies cult, by the way, in case it's not clear to you, was one world government, achieved through the concept of a unification church. We are all being brought in by the, I guess you could say, their version of the Lord, which is just...
So with that being said, I may have to sit up on this one. So does that mean that really this intention of the New World Order, is that on the same, so is that cultish? So is the New World Order, you know, that Trump and all of, you know, so in essence, I guess since it's still the devil and it's still going, yes, okay. So the New World Order that Donald Trump and pro-Israel and to convert Christians into Zionists is to turn Christians into the cult. Now, you know what's fascinating in the thinking of it now? It's like you just couldn't be good and evil, heaven or hell. It had to be so now you can't just be a I don't know, just a non-believer. You have to be in a cult, a satanic cult. So I guess it's still all the same. I guess. I don't know. I mean, if you're a non-believer, does that necessarily put you in a cult? Man, it's the I never thought of it like that. The New World Order that they are pushing and gearing, I guess that would make sense as to why they felt the need to alter the Bible and make these war feel like or be symbolic of the two brothers fighting over land, which is not true. They made that up because we went to the word on that. And that's when God changed his Jacob's name to Israel. And when he met up with Esau, there was no battle. He embraced his brother, so that just kind of nipped that. Oh wow! So you clocked the T back then. I don't know what that is, Samantha. You taking me too fast at a time. Yeah. So yeah. The New World Order, and I'm it's interesting to me, and I am repeating it because we need to call it what it is. So, they like to pretty up stuff, disguise to trick and manipulate. That's just like, it kept bothering me that, before they was just the Zionists. They were just Zionists, And then, all of a sudden they wanted to add the Christian Zionists. I mean, what is that? I mean, what is that? It made no sense. Why does Christian have to have something added to it? And why are you okay with adding Christian to the Zionists, and the Zionists are totally opposite? So are you saying that you in the middle? I mean, I don't get that. I don't get that, because there is no Christian Zionist. Either you are a Christian or you are in a cult. So if the New World Order, instead of calling it a New World Order, when I discuss it, I will call it the cult that they say is a New World Order that is set in place to convert Christians into Zionists, a tricky way to pull you into a cult by adding Christian to it. And you got Christian in front of who you really are. What is that even about? Why would it not be Zionist Christians? I mean, y'all were already Zionists and y'all taking on this fictitious title, but you wanted it out front to make it appear that you're more superior with, or you're closer to the Christian. Why else would Christian be before the Zionists when you really are just a Zionist, which is the devil? You're a devil worshiper. Trying to catch Christians slipping. Let's go. So we're going to call the New World Order a cult.
I know, some CIA clone, somebody you can get behind. They are repeatedly establishing a messianic figure, and they're expecting people to follow them because how dare you question the Bible? It's all really sick when you think about it.
Absolutely sick.
Andrew Kolvet, Think My Dream. At Turning Point, faith is problematic. The organization is intended to be the Moonies 2.0. The intention behind the Moonies cult, by the way, in case it's not clear to you, was one world government, achieved through the concept of a unification church. We are all being brought in by the, I guess you could say, their version of the Lord, which is just, I don't know, some CIA clone, somebody you can get behind. They are repeatedly establishing a messianic figure, and they're expecting people to follow them because how dare you question the Bible? It's all really sick when you think about it. And Andrew Kolvet, Think My Dream might have meant something, and that's why you've been completely freaked since. Anyways, we'll be right back after taking a brief break.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, new research is revealing something heartbreaking. Or you can visit preborn.com/Candace. Again, that's preborn.com, and it contains all 9 essential amino acids that your body needs. To riverbendranch.com today and look into these obviously bought and paid for ranch.com, promo code Candace. Something else I would like to add here regarding the Moonies cult and this Korean guy that pops onto the scene after the Korean War. That, to me, feels like it was orchestrated by the CIA. And I can tell you that one of the patterns I have recognized when I look into these obviously bought and paid for propagandists is that it seems that their grandfathers are all involved in the Korean War. They were all captains or lieutenant colonels in the Korean War. And I keep telling you that it's really important to recognize this strand of military corruption. I think that's the reason that the Moonies cult was established in Korea, during that time, and that it is very likely that the entire thing was just a CIA operation, and they are attempting that again via Turning Point Faith, and that's the reason Turning Point USA Faith wants to get into real estate. It feels like they're buying up so much land, and now we're having these fires that are happening all around the world, these natural disasters, and they're trying to tell you that these disasters are natural, when it's becoming pretty apparent they're not. It feels like these are land grabs, and you should be allowed to think through that with what I am telling you. Anyways, avoid the faith grift in 2026. Something that is happening at the same time, obviously, is that all of these people seem to be radically obsessed with Israel. It's another component of this. It's just you can't let Israel go. It's almost as if the Mossad and the CIA, there is no separation between the two. It's why Bibi used to work for the CIA. If you've followed past episodes that we've done, I think we uncovered that during our Epstein series, but don't quote me on that. It feels like that is the strand that explains everything. Like our entire media is bought and paid for. Everything is in service of this foreign country.
Hey, Ronald.
And they're growing increasingly dangerous, increasingly more radical, increasingly more desperate, despite having the entire United States military at their beck and call and being able to, mass murder American troops to fulfill their interests overseas. They are coming to terms with the fact that they're losing a grip on public opinion, which means a lot, actually. Okay? It's important that the illusion, or it was important that the illusion of their victimhood was kept. I think that's something that Bibi Netanyahu actually underestimated.
Did she say
underestimated how much of it.
victimhood?
He was like the magician who believed in his own magic.
Did
He
she say
underestimated how much of
victimhood?
it more desperate, despite having the entire United States military at their beck and call and being able to, mass murder American troops to fulfill their interests overseas. They are coming to terms with the fact that they're losing a grip on public opinion, which means a lot, actually. Okay? It's important that the illusion, or it was important that the illusion of their victimhood was kept. I think that's something that Bibi Netanyahu actually.
The illusion of their victimhood. The illusion of your victimhood. Who is she? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. The illusion of your victimhood. Is that grooming? The illusion is that the manipulation? Is that the grooming aspect where they have groomed you into believing or going along with or making excuses or justification? The illusion of their victimhood. I don't know how to process that. I don't know. Wait, let me hear her say that again. Y'all, hit the like button. Please double tap the face of your phone. Not tap 2 times on the face screen so we can get this right. Double tap. The illusion of their victim. What in the world? Victimhood. What did she say?
It feels like that is the strand that explains everything. Like our entire media is bought and paid for. Everything is in service of this foreign country. And they're growing increasingly dangerous, increasingly more radical, increasingly more desperate, despite having the entire United States military at their beck and call and being able to, mass murder American troops to fulfill their interests overseas. They are coming to terms with the fact that they're losing a grip on public opinion, which means a lot, actually. Okay? It's important that the illusion, or it was important that the illusion of their victimhood was kept. I think that's something that Bibi Netanyahu actually underestimated. He underestimated how much of it. He was like the magician who believed in his own magic. He underestimated how much of it was successful in convincing all of us to be Zionists because we were operating under the illusion that they were innocent. And he went too far. He killed too many people. Gaza will
But
have a
the
lot of
victimhood.
people, and now they're pretending that the issue is not what they're doing. It's never what they're
persistently
actually
seeing
doing. It's
themselves
not
as a
that they're being
victim of
accused by their own people
others'
of conducting and covering
action
up these sex
or
rituals against
external
children in their forests. It's not because of the fact that
Bohemian Grove. Victimhood mentality is a psychological concept where an individual persistently see themselves as a victim of others' actions or external circumstances, even when evidence suggests otherwise. So that's Trump. This mindset is a learned behavior, often developing as a coping mechanism for past trauma or repeated negative life events. It is distinct from actual victimization. That's interesting. I've never heard that before.
tens of thousands of innocent Palestinians have been killed, and that they've been intentionally up a lot of people. And now they're pretending that the issue is not what they're doing. It's never what they're actually doing. It's not that they're being accused by their own people of conducting and covering up these sex rituals against children.
So ain't that just a liar or a manipulator?
Was successful in convincing all of us to be Zionists because we were operating under the illusion that they were innocent to fulfill their interests.
How could you be operating under that they were innocent? How? Of what? Innocent of what? Innocent of what? I mean, to try to understand how you were ever a Zionist, what were they victims of? Who did something to them? I mean, how could Bibi, he's not even Jewish. I mean, you know, I don't get that, but carry on.
Are coming to terms with the fact that they're losing grip on public opinion, which means a lot, actually, okay? It's important that the illusion, or it was important that the illusion of their victimhood was kept. I think that's something that Bibi Netanyahu actually underestimated. He underestimated how much of it, he was like the magician who believed in his own magic. He underestimated how much of it was successful in convincing all of us to be Zionists because we were operating under the illusion that they were innocent.
Yeah,
went too far.
I get that it was a mind control, but so you became a non-believer. You got involved in a cult because a man led you to believe that he was a victim and because he was a victim, that just don't make sense to me. Because if he was a victim, what does that have to do with you? What do him being a victim have to do with you joining forces in a religion or whatever it was? Yeah, no, you already had an issue. Oh, you have had to have already had a religious issue for you to be able to be persuaded to turn away from Christ. I mean, I don't get that. I can't even make that make sense. I just cannot make that make sense. So something had to have happened in your life in order for you to have doubted Christ, where you would allow somebody to pull you away. I don't get that. I don't get it.
Killed too many people. Gaza woke up a lot of people. And now they're pretending that the issue is not what they're doing. It's never what they're actually doing. The fact that they're losing a grip on public opinion, which means a lot, actually. Okay? It's important that the illusion, or it was important that the illusion of their victimhood was kept. I think that's something that Bibi Netanyahu actually underestimated. He underestimated how much of it, he was like the magician who believed in his own magic. He underestimated how much of it was successful in convincing all of us to be Zionists because we were operating under the illusion that they were innocent. And he went too far, he killed too many people, Gaza woke up a lot of people, and now they're pretending that the issue is not what they're doing. It's never what they're actually doing. It's not that they're being accused by their own people of...
Did y'all hear her? She said they went too far. They killed too many people. So you were okay with them killing some? Oh my God. I mean, again, I'm not passing judgment. I'm trying to process it. I'm trying to understand it because, again, I say, because of the renewing of the mind. So there was a renewing of the mind, and thank God she got it. Now, I'm just trying to understand it somewhat. I mean, that's like if somebody has a tragic situation in their life, life changing, and I'm so compelled to their story that very well is a lie, but I don't know it's a lie. So that means that my intuition, that means a lot of things are off on me that I don't pick up on it. I mean, your lies, I see your lies, and I just let them fly. I mean, what do I do with these lies when I see these lies? You understand? I mean, I'm not a kid. She wasn't a kid. Or was she? She was a kid. Okay. Okay. Was she a kid? I need to research that. Because as an adult, I'm like, yeah, nah, baby. I see them red flags. That ain't adding up. Yeah, no. So it took for them to start killing too many people, or were they not killing kids, babies? Did it take for her to start having babies? So before she had her own, she didn't see nothing spiritually, mentally wrong. There was nothing wrong with it. Yeah, no. I don't want to go to no church. I don't want to be associated with any God, supposed to be God-fearing, God-first organization that's okay with killing. That you are preaching that. Yeah, no.
It's important that the illusion, or it was important that the illusion of their victimhood was kept. I think that's something that Bibi Netanyahu actually underestimated. He underestimated how much of it, he was like the magician who believed in his own magic. He underestimated how much of it was successful in convincing all of us to be Zionists because we were operating under the illusion that they were innocent. And he went too far, he killed too many people, Gaza woke up.
So I wonder, was she so involved in it that she was drinking the blood and the sacrificing and it's intriguing to me, and that's why I think I can listen to her, because she was actively involved in this Zionist stuff, And so she can take you into it without you being into it. Now that she's out. See, now that she's out, her vision is clearer now. So I can listen to her. I can use her expertise in this. But I'm still as smart as she is. It's like, how did you... Wow. Lord, I thank God she out. I thank God she's out. Oh, wow.
A lot of people, and now they're pretending that the issue is not what they're doing. It's never what they're actually doing. It's not that they're being accused by their own people of conducting and covering up these sex rituals against children in their forests. It's not because of the fact that tens of thousands of innocent Palestinians have been killed and that they've been intentionally targeted because they're conducting a genocide. The problem is that we're noticing it. And the enemy, therefore, is speech. Mm-hmm. It's people on a platform speaking about their crimes that are problematic, not the crimes that they are committed. Again, this is the logic of psychopaths. Well, in the Knesset, look at their Congress. There was a Likud party representative who got up and gave a speech and declared me and Tucker Carlson to be enemies of the state of Israel.
Y'all double tap the face of y'all screen, please. This is interesting to me. Please double tap the face of your screen if you're listening in on your phone, or hit the 3 dots at the top right. This is crazy. Oh my God. I wonder what... See, this, if y'all remember, this is how I got into this. Because what he said he was, and the things that he said that he firmly believed, that was so negative, so hateful. And he did not believe in empathy. There's just no way you can believe in Jesus Christ without empathy. And there was other things he said, and it just didn't add up. It just didn't add up. He was bearing bad fruit. I don't care what he said with his mouth. Bible says you can judge a tree by the fruit. And the things that he was saying was not fruitful. It just wasn't fruitful. But he was a believer in Jesus. I was devout. No, what you say and what you do have to add up. Your actions and what you're saying, they didn't add up. They just, oh, wow. Y'all, this is why it's very important that we be mindful. People can say anything with their mouths, but it is hard for them to line that up if it ain't true. Somebody can say they love you. I love you. Girl, you my wife. Yeah. And then they turn right around and do the craziest things. And it's like, wait, what? No, that is not. No. When we see them red flags, ladies and gentlemen, we have to acknowledge them for what they are. No. And we have to stop making excuses when it do not add up. It don't match. That is not love. And don't try to manipulate me or anybody into believing that, yes, it is. No, it's not, baby. No, it's not. It's not love to me. We have to start calling it what it is, because the devil is a deceiver. And they will bait you in. And then now you are making excuses and lying to yourself You know, good and dang well you see the truth. But you want to be down, you want to be in, you want to be a part of something so much, or they don't promise you, and you're really close to getting what they promised, and you fail to see that what they promised you was always a lie. You were never going to get it. Never going to get it. And we should have only fell for those type lies in our 20s, maybe early 30s. If you pass that and you still falling for the same banana in the tailpipe, that means you are easily persuaded. If somebody wants you to have it, they'll give it to you. You don't have to be drunk. They have to spread it out and promise it one day. And yeah, I have a vision. I have a dream. And yeah, I just need time. Oh no, time is not on your side. If you see me in it, you better pull me in it right now. Because other than that, this is a lie to string somebody along. Y'all, we have to start calling it what it is. So I would assume that whatever they had promised them with their donations, they were baited with money. They were baited with good money and got in real deep. Real deep. And we know Candace can have a little sly ass mouth, so letting her go probably wasn't as hard as it was for Charlie. Charlie knew too much. Let's go.
To our Carlson, who are
Hey,
calling
Specs.
for peace, we are calling for national sovereignty. We are calling for people in Congress to actually serve American interests, and that
You feel like
apparently
you
represents
missed
an
one?
existential threat to Israel. Here is what he had actually underestimated. He underestimated how much of it. He was like the magician who believed in his own magic. He underestimated
That's
how much
Trump.
of it.
And that's why I was telling Janet, I think that Trump wants to be more like Bibi Netanyahu right now. To me, he wants to be more like Bibi Netanyahu than Putin. He really believes in whatever Bibi Netanyahu is selling. He believes that that's who can really, have a better foundation. And his daughter done converted, and it's a different control. Yeah. But I just see his movement taking over, stealing land. The manipulation is different. Putin don't come across as no manipulator like Bibi. Bibi has all but said, and this cult that they're in, remember, they have to tell you what they're gonna do. See, in that aspect, they can't lie. They can lie about everything else. So the con of it all, to tell you, I'm gonna do this. And people, he just talking, he crazy, da. And he do exactly what he said. So people say, oh, I voted for Trump because, what he say he gonna do, he do that. That's a part of his cult. They got to tell you, and then they have to do it. And that's how they get their merits. That's how they pass their devilish test. So when he say, you going to, if you don't do what I say with this vice president, then what we did to Maduro, it's going to be worse. So his threats, he got to do them in order for him to get validation. So that's why I say he more like Bibi Netanyahu, because it ties more into the Zionist that cult. I don't get that from Putin. I just don't get it from Putin.
Increasingly dangerous, increasingly more radical, increasingly
That's
more
just my
desperate, despite
opinion.
having the entire United States military at their beck and call and being able to, mass murder American troops to fulfill their interests overseas. They are coming to terms with the fact that they're losing a grip on public opinion, which means a lot, actually. Okay? It's important that the illusion, or it was important that the illusion of their victimhood was kept. I think that's something that Bibi Netanyahu actually underestimated. He underestimated how much of it, he was like the magician who believed in his own magic. He underestimated how much of it was successful in convincing all of us to be Zionists because we were operating under the illusion that they were innocent. And he went too far, he killed too many people, Gaza woke up a lot of people, and now they're pretending that the issue is not what they're doing. It's never what they're actually doing. It's not that they're being accused by their own people of conducting and covering up these sex rituals against children in their forests. It's not because of the fact that tens of thousands of innocent Palestinians have been killed and that they've been intentionally targeted because they're conducting a genocide. The problem is that we're noticing it. And the enemy, therefore, is speech. It's people on a platform speaking about their crimes that are problematic, not the crimes that they are committed. Again, this is the logic of psychopaths. Well, in the Knesset, look at their Congress. There was a Likud party representative who got up and gave a speech and declared me and Tucker Carlson to be enemies of the state of Israel. Me and Tucker Carlson, who are calling for peace, we are calling for national sovereignty, we are calling for people in Congress to actually serve American interests, and that apparently represents an existential threat to Israel. Here is what he had to say.
Mr. Speaker, members of the Knesset, I stand here in Jerusalem, the eternal capital of the Jewish people, to sound an alarm. We are used to enemies from outside. We fight terror tunnels of Hamas, we fight the ballistic missiles of Iran. But today, I look at the West, our greatest ally, and I see a new enemy rising from within. I am speaking of a poison being sold to the American people as patriotism. I'm speaking of the intellectual vandalism of Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Mr. Speaker, let us be clear about what this is. They claim to fight the woke left. They are no different than the woke left. The radical left tears down the statues of Thomas Jefferson. Tucker Carlson tears down the legacy of Winston Churchill. The radical left says Western civilization is evil. Candace Owens says the roots of our faith are demonic. It is the same sickness. It is the same moral relativism. It is the same hatred of the West dressed up in a different costume.
Yes, to be clear, that is dangerous. The Likud party, and I was quite literally, someone was plotting my murder. Actually, a year from the date that Charlie was murdered on September 10th, someone was plotting my murder and got discovered, and that's still making its way through the courts. These people are calling for violence. That's the implicit threat here. They're all growing increasingly more radical, and they're feeling threatened by speech, which is why I implore all of you, which I see that you are.
It is the same sickness.
Was that in
It is the
September?
same moral relativism. It is the same hatred of the West dressed up in a different costume.
Yes, to be clear, that is dangerous. The Likud party, and I was quite literally, someone was plotting my murder. Actually, a year from the date that Charlie was murdered on September 10th, someone was plotting my murder and got discovered, and that's still making its way through the courts. These people are calling for violence. That's the implicit threat here. They're all growing increasingly more radical, and they're feeling threatened by speech, which is why I implore all of you, which I see that you are, which is why they feel threatened, to continue to use it and to recognize these people are incredibly dangerous. They are very dangerous. When a person is unwilling to say, here is what I did wrong, especially when that person has murdered tens of thousands of children, what they're doing down in Venezuela, Argentina, when they say the issue is people recognizing what they're doing. Argentina, they are tweeting. I mean, they are in the streets shouting against Zionism. And we're supposed to believe it's because everyone just hates Jews, everyone hates God's chosen people, or because you can no longer convince people that you are murdering, stealing, plundering, raping in the name of the Lord. I think it's the latter. But these people are dangerous. Okay, if anything happens to Tucker Carlson or me, you obviously know that Israel was involved. Obviously, that is unbelievably apparent in their rhetoric. They're name checking us. They're calling us on stage. They're sending their goons out to harass us because we believe in America first and that we should stop getting involved in their interests, and that it is unacceptable, frankly, that our government gives more flack to Tucker Carlson, our government representatives give more flack to Tucker Carlson than they did to Jeffrey Epstein. That they choose to cover up the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein while pretending that speech in America is what's actually radical, not people who are actually harming children and abusing children sexually. We don't even have a government, in my view. Like, we can't even protect the nation's most innocent. How do we even have a government? I guess that's a larger philosophical question. I do now want to cut to the sad fact that it seems that women in the media have been braver than most men in the media, who seem to just be bending the knee and taking it and calling themselves heroes or tough guys.
And taking
but
it.
Not willing to stand up.
Did she say and taking it?
For speech in America. Megyn Kelly sat down and discussed. She's been at length.
Y'all, please hit the like button. Double tap the face of your screen.
Because she simply won't bend the knee. She has said nothing wrong. She actually is a Zionist and she supports Israel. But for them, they learn that you must fully allow us to control your speech, or we'll attack you. You know, we will.
Oh, well, let's go, naturally knowledge.
Character comes first. Well, here's what Megyn Kelly opened up to Tucker Carlson about on his show, and here's what she had to say.
Tucker Carlson.
I've gotten notes from all of these people, dear friends of mine over the past year. Thank you so much. You make me and my family feel safer. These are pro-Israel Jewish friends of mine in the media. You make me and my family feel safer. I love you. My family loves you. God bless you. These same people have now turned on me, and some are calling me an anti-Semite. Why? What did I say? What did I do? Did I step on a rake and say something super anti-Semitic without realizing it? No, it's because I won't defriend you, and I won't condemn and say that Candace Owens is hateful. They want me really, really badly to condemn Candace Owens. And I'm sorry to break it to them, but I am responsible for what I say, not for what anybody else says. I am not Candace Owens's policeman. And by the way, they're kidding themselves that if just one more voice will say something nasty about Candace, she could finally be controlled. Like, how well has that worked so far? But again, the instinct is
over there laughing.
Stop her. Stop her speech. Stop it. Make her stop it. Make Tucker stop saying the things. Well, I have no desire to, and I have no power to. And for that, I was called a coward by Ben Shapiro at the Turning Point event at Fest in December, who, by the way, in my last exchange with him, literally said, our friendship, his and mine, is too important to both of us to make it depend on whom else we are friends with and aren't friends with. That is literally the last text I have from Ben Shapiro. The next thing I knew, he was standing on the stage at Turning Point calling me a coward for this very thing.
Listening to that is just so real, and it always starts with something like that, just controlling speech. Like, I have been...
Stop her. Stop her speech. Stop it. Make her stop it. Make Tucker stop saying...
If you can't make her stop it, what makes you think somebody else? You get in there and try to... You convince her. You convince her. That's what I would have said. Fool. You convince. Since you think she's that gullible... If you can't convince her, hell, what makes you think I can?
You, and I won't condemn and say that Candace Owens is hateful. They want me really, really badly to condemn Candace Owens. And I'm sorry to break it to them, but I am responsible for what I say, not for what anybody else says. I am not Candace Owens's policeman. And by the way, they're kidding themselves that if just one more voice will say something nasty about Candace, she could finally be controlled. Like, how well has that worked so far? But again, the instinct is to stop her speech, stop it, make her stop it, make Tucker stop saying the things. Well,
stop telling the truth. Stop.
No power
Make them stop telling the truth.
That, I was called a coward by Ben Shapiro at the Turning Point event, AmFest, in December, who, by the way, in my last exchange with him, literally said, our friendship, his and mine, is too important to both of us to make it depend on whom else we are friends with and aren't friends with. That is literally the last text I have from Ben Shapiro. The next thing I knew, he was standing on the stage at Turning Point calling me a coward for this very thing.
No.
Listening to that is just so real, and it always starts with something like that, just controlling
I'm very
speech.
strong.
Like, I have been no fan
but I told you
Nick
no.
Fuentes, but I remember the peer pressure campaign that came from
No.
Israel.
I'm strong because I said no. Nope. I'm not going to do it. No. It's okay to say no. It is okay to say no. And call them what they are. You know you're a manipulator. That's manipulating. You're trying to manipulate me. You don't like the truth because what she's saying is the truth. And you don't want her to say the truth. So now you're going to dangle our friendship over the truth. I'm going to lose you as a friend because of the truth. Okay, bye. It's okay to say bye when someone is manipulating you because they don't want the truth to come out. It's okay to say bye when somebody's manipulating you for any reason. It's okay. Bye. I love you from afar, but bye. It's okay. It's okay to say no, and it's okay to say bye. And it's always okay to stand up for the truth. Always stand up for the truth. Versus bowing down for a lie. It's a no for me. Let's go.
Lobby
Hey,
compel
Ronald.
me to say something about him. Why? Why? Just like she is saying, I'm not his mom. So this was way back when I didn't even know anything about his content. Nothing. I knew who he was, but I wasn't watching Nick Fuentes' show. He was kicked off of every platform, and they were just demanding that of me. I remember the text messages from Seth Dillon trying to compel me to say something about Nick Fuentes. And the emotional manipulation of it all. I'm going, why do I have to say something about Nick Fuentes?
Mm-hmm.
There's like tons of articles about Nick Fuentes. He's been kicked out of all these events. Why do you need me to personally do it? That's what it's about. It's about making sure that they can control your platform. And I'm sorry, they behave like a gang, as I have expressed many times. That was my experience. You behave like a gang, trying to basically say you're not allowed to have a mic and speak unless you're willing to bend the knee to us. And it's, frankly speaking, wrong. And what I think is more wrong than even that is that so many men have microphones and don't come out and condemn it explicitly, vociferously, name names. Like you should just like obviously recognize, and not even condemning the fact that they're bullying these people, but recognizing rather the threat to our speech. That's real. You purport to say that you care about American values. Okay. People want to get laws passed. People are bullying people, trying to compel them to speech. People are making threats to people's livelihoods. And in some cases, as I believe the case with Charlie Kirk, some people are killed.
Absolutely.
Are actually murdered because they can't get controlled. So if you're going to
You tell
purport
them
to
no.
be a person that cares about American values and purport to care about the fight and recognizing what we are up against, you might want to recognize that this Israel is starting to squeeze Americans. And by the way, beyond anybody else, forget the men that have microphones, I actually want to say that our government allowing another government, another party that I'm compelled to give my tax dollars to, I'm compelled to actually give my tax dollars to Israel. Allowing them to stand up and declare me an enemy of the state, I have to pay for that?
Right.
Where's J.D. Vance on this? Where's Trump on this?
They right there. They invested.
Congress members on this.
They're invested.
Am I wrong for thinking that should be unacceptable?
I think it's absolutely unacceptable.
Their
Hello, Amber.
military exercises all around the world, their military aims all around the world. I mean, it actually drives me
Yeah,
totally
I think it's the craziest shit
I have
ever.
to pay these people my taxes. I have to go to work. We all have to go to work to support the nation that is demanding that our speech gets suppressed. And
they over there unaliving
your speech
babies
while we still have
and
it.
people.
All right, top comment from last episode is, I think it's safe to say it is never a good thing when our military
Oh, Amber, I
is
don't
going
know
to
what
other
that-
countries to help children. Yes, we
Oh, I
talked
don't know
about
what
that.
that
I
is.
created that column. Obviously, he was using Excel sheet in all the wrong ways, but created a clear column to speak about how many times sex trafficking has come up in the story, the history of our military, and I have received since then even more explosive information. And so we're going to get into that later this week. You are absolutely correct. I do not believe that our military is helping children around the world. I do not think that is their explicit aim. And in fact, pressed. And we are the last stand, so use your speech while we still have it. All right, top comment from last episode is, I think it's safe to say it is never a good thing when our military is going to other countries to help children. Yes, we talked about that. I created that column. Obviously, he was using Excel sheet in all the wrong ways, but created a clear column to speak about how many times sex trafficking has come up in the story, the history of our military, and I have received since then even more explosive information. And so we're going to get into that later this week. You are absolutely
They are
correct. I
helping-
do not believe that our military is helping children around the world. I do not think that is their explicit aim. And in fact, I think it's much darker than that. I think we all sense that. We will take a brief break before I read the rest of your comments.
Yeah, and
All right, you guys, you do not
those
have to
kids are
overhaul
on the
your entire
military
life
base.
in
They
2020.
say for the
But I find something that
soldiers.
works and it aligns with how I live my life.com. All right, first I want to tell you guys we have new merch on the website. If you would like to support my free speech while we still have it, you can buy a hard copy autographed bundle now available on the shop.
Y'all
Bacon,
please
ham,
double tap
sandwich,
the
and
face
Black
of your
Apple, hand signed
screen.
by me. Also, check out these new mugs. Girls, can you scroll down there? These are Superfly top. You missed it. You passed it. Okay, there we go.
Double tap, please
that
get
one,
the
that
likes
one,
up.
the black one. Quick, fast, go. How cute are those? I don't know. I just feel like they're super cute. I love these mugs. I actually have one upstairs. I forgot to put it on my desk. Bella, can you make a note for me to get the mug for tomorrow, because I'm going to keep forgetting. I really love the conspiracy girly mug. I met my husband, and it was like, Project Constitution is in the chat. That's a huge donation. Thank you. He's one of the bigger accounts that's been discussing everything Charlie Kirk on X. He writes, Erica is the reason Charlie even got involved in the Falkirk Center. And then the spinoff of Turning Point USA Faith, she was brought in as his handler to move him in that direction. She had him starry-eyed and wrapped around her finger. Go, Max. Love you, Candace. Keep shining the light on evil. Look, I am obviously...
I don't have
part of the reason I know everyone's like, oh, why weren't you here? I met my husband,
iPhone,
and it
so
was like,
hey Lisa, so I
happily
can't
ever
see it,
after, and
Amber.
skipped into the sunset, and I can say I can pinpoint that yes, obviously we know that Erica Kirk was a Falkirk fellow. I have not yet heard that she explicitly said you need to establish the Falkirk Center, and I would have to go back and ask people that. I am starry-eyed and wrapped around her finger. Go, Max. Love you, Candace. Keep shining the light on evil. Look, I am obviously part of the reason I know everyone's like, oh, why weren't you here? I met my husband, and it was like happily ever after, and skipped into the sunset. And I can say I can pinpoint that yes, obviously we know that Erica Kirk was a Falkirk fellow. I have not yet heard that she explicitly said you need to establish the Falkirk Center, and I would have to go back and ask people that. I am starting to work through some of the questions that people have about her background, and I've wanted to be very careful because I don't want to make any mistakes, and I want to understand it. I want to understand a lot of the different things that we're all seeing on X about the charities that she was involved in and the overseas stuff, and she says she lived in China, and she says that she lived in Costa Rica, and when and for what. A lot to kind of go through, and it's taking a lot of time, but I do intend on doing an episode dedicated
Over there
to that in the
snatching
future.
kids.
But I also want to give her the opportunity to respond to any questions that I have. Natty Nicole writes, Candace, I'm constantly finding myself speechless. Wow, this is insane. I'm heartbroken and filled with rage all at the same time. Mostly heartbroken. How does Andrew Kolvet sleep at night? We win in the end, but boy, this is hard. Yeah, it is hard. And I feel silly that I didn't realize it was always him, obviously, behind all of these attacks until he got caught red-handed. And then the Johnny Moore thing, like, you should have seen me. Like, my mind was just blown when I figured
He
out
got
after doing this whole
busted.
episode about the Moonies. I'm like, why does this feel like the Moonies? And then, bam, Johnny Moore, Andrew Kolvet. Here's Johnny. The Moonies are back, and it's a different name. That's what's happening here. That is obviously what's happening here, and it goes back to the Korean War. That's the American CIA infiltration. It's been a long Monday, so I'm not even going to get you guys ready for forget whether or not 9/11 was a false flag. Are you ready to talk about Pearl Harbor? Are you ready to talk about Pearl Harbor being a false flag? If not, it's okay, because we're not going to do it today. We're not going to do it, okay? But the vibes are not vibing in the Pearl Harbor story is what I will say. And Lyndon Baines Johnson was a devilish man throughout, and obviously he was the president later, but we should talk about Lyndon Baines Johnson, the efforts that were in the Vietnam War, and what happened in terms of our military involvement overseas and what the actual aims were of the Vietnam War. There is so much that I could unpack for you guys, starting from Pearl Harbor through to Lyndon Baines Johnson and beyond. But yeah, anyways, we'll get there one day. 6-7 writes, thanks, Candace. Great job. That's a donation from Argentina. I am so sick with what you guys are going through. I was so attacked when I said I just didn't trust that dude. Just didn't trust Milei. Saw some stuff about, like, really his full last name is Mileikowski, and he looks a little like Bibi Netanyahu. I mean, that's a conspiracy, but hey, it's Monday. We're talking about dreams.
Which
We're
one?
talking about conspiracies. And I'm a conspiracy girly. And I have the
Who
most
look like
Victoria Best
BB?
writes, go Max, and always all glory to God. You are correct. The one you feed writes, what the hell is America's law enforcement? Is everybody bought? A lot of people are bought. In fact, I think our military at the top are actually just mercenary squads to protect the gangs. I'm just going on all the conspiracies that I'm feeling in my vibes, but like, I'd like to revisit some of these school shootings. I'm wondering if children were being trafficked and administrators found out and they ended up dead. I've got weird vibes about some of these shootings now, because I do think that in part, when you look at some of these mass shootings, you find out that there's some like government initiative, or I guess the government can benefit by having this particular person dead. How long has that been going on for? I don't know. Obviously not every school shooting, but I have questions. Cami R writes, admire you so much, Candace. I have 2 grown kids, so I appreciate what a warrior you are being a mama and bringing us information. God bless you and your family. It's the only way, man. If this really does become one world government, and I do believe that that is the explicit aim, our kids just have no chance. So how are we not brave? Do you love your kids enough to be brave? Do you love your offspring enough to be brave? Do you love your family enough to be brave? I do. Charlie did. MakeItKnown.world writes, anybody, and I mean anybody but the current stooges in Congress, both houses that support the Zionists, do not vote for them. It only encourages them. I totally agree, and I'm not voting until we figure out who killed Charlie Kirk and exactly how it happened. So I'm out. You don't have to talk to me about politics at all. Blakely Webb writes, I just got into it with a lady on Facebook because she was saying that you are stupid for having dreams and sharing them. She then proceeded to tell me about her dreams about you. How do people not realize how ironically stupid they are? That's actually really funny. I dreamed a lot. I'm still having vivid dreams. They're not as, they're not every single night like they were in the beginning, which was really stressful for me. I didn't like it. I did not like it. But I encourage you all to dream, and God speaks to us in our dreams. And actually, in fact, that is biblical. So how about that?
I mean,
anyway,
I
you
mean,
guys, we will see.
You don't have control over them if you have a dream. You can't tell the dream go away, come back another day. No, that is not how that works. That is not how that works. And you're gonna dream, it's gonna come, and you're gonna do with it whatever you do with it. You're gonna remember it if you can, and if you can't, you ain't. You understand? Okay, y'all, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for hanging in there with me. Please go back and watch if you came in late. Like the video. Share it. Subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. Join the membership. You're so very welcome, Amber. You're so very welcome. Y'all sleep tight. Don't let the bad bug bite.